Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. This episode is sponsored by World Outsourcing Solutions, a company that specializes in providing virtual assistance and outsourcing services to business owners around the world. And today I'm so privileged to be interviewing a lady who has a story to tell and has actually managed to turn things around from something that seemingly could have had a detrimental effect, and that's Heather Vickery. Heather, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
You know, I always admire individuals who have got a situation at hand and they decide to make something out of it and then go out and teach others how to be successful.
Yeah, thank you.
Incredible. Now, Heather, we always want to know who you are, what you've been through and what you represent. Can we talk about that for a moment? Maybe your education and, who you are.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, and I like to always start with this, I'm a mother. I have 4 beautiful daughters, and they are the motivation for everything that I do. But I started my career, I've owned a company doing event planning for nearly 20 years. I went to college here in the States in Ohio, and I got a theater and English degree. We laugh. I like to say I got a degree in bullshit, but I've parlayed that into great communication skills, great marketing, and great people skills and things like that. And I was fortunate to have the business that I had for years because it allowed me to be a full-time parent. But it was a job that wasn't me to huge new heights, and it wasn't fulfilling any emotional needs for me. At the same time, I was going through some personal difficult things. In fact, if I'm being really honest with all of you and your listeners, about 4 years ago, I came out. I came out to myself, and then I came out to my then husband. That was quite a realization. We spent some time, kind of dumbstruck and what do we do with this? And it became apparent that the marriage wasn't going to work, but we had these beautiful children, and we wanted to maintain that for them. And so for a long time, all of my decisions were really fear-based. I spent a lot of time in that space where I had to choose between which thing was less frightening, and I felt really stuck and limited. And then one morning I was sitting around the table with my daughters, and I looked very closely at each of them, and I spent so much time encouraging them to be brave and to try new things. And I thought, what would I tell them in my situation? What's the advice I would give them? And it certainly wasn't that they should just suck it up and, they made a bed and they should sleep in it. It was that I would want them to go out and live an authentic life and be happy and be bold and brave. And then I went, oh, I have to do that. If that's right. What I want them to do, I have to be that person, right?
Right.
And it was instant. Within a second, this huge cloud lifted, and all of a sudden I felt, instead of fear-based, I felt limitless. I could do anything. I just needed to release that fear and know that I'd given myself permission to go out and be who I was and try anything. And my motivation for that is my children. I want to show them by my actions that they can indeed do and be anything that they want. And I hear that parroted in them all the time. They're aged 3 to 11. And they're all the time, I'm going to go out and be brave and do this thing, mommy. Or, it's really amazing. And whenever I struggle, as all entrepreneurs struggle, I go back to that moment. And why am I willing to put myself out there like that? And it's because I live in a world of limitless possibilities.
Absolutely. What I admire about that, and you really is stepping out. Everyone actually do that, and you have gone out now to show other people how to do that as well through your coaching program.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And for those who are just joining us, and I'm talking to one of the business top coach, Heather Vickery, who is out there showing people how you can live life to the full and, be authentic and live in this world that is full of possibilities. Now, Heather, if we were to look back at those early years when you you stopped at one business and then went on to start your coaching program. Would you talk to us about, what happened? How did you come up with the idea of, running a business?
Yeah, absolutely. As I became more in touch with myself and my needs and who I was authentically, I started really paying attention to how people were interacting with me and what was happening in the world around me. And I started to notice that people were coming to me as they wanted to transform something in their lives, start a new business, a new adventure, even personal things. I had a friend who came to me because she was struggling in her marriage and wanted to know, how to maybe get out of it. Coach, I don't think you can sell something that you're not willing to buy. And I love my business coach. And one day he said to me, this is a business. This is a marketable skill. It's very valuable. And I think you should give it a go. And I said, yeah, I can do anything, right? So let's try it. And the rewards were instant. Watching people grow and transform and helping be a part of that process, I've helped make their lives better, and then their communities and their friends and the world at large. And I literally go to sleep at night thinking the world is better today for my children because of the work that I did.
Absolutely, because you are adding value to people's lives. Because what you offer there, Heather, it really is something that is unique because you've experienced something in you and you know how liberating it is to live authentically and, be a major contributor in life.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great term, to be a major contributor in life, in the community and in the world. That's phenomenal. That's exactly right.
Incredible. And Heather, talk to us, what were the practical steps you took on when you got this idea to put this, to structure it as a business? What did you actually do to help those ones that have got an idea and they are not so sure what they need to do next?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I started with is breaking it all down. If you're anything like me, if you have this huge looming task in front of you and no plan for getting there, it's super overwhelming. And I tend to shut down and say, well, gosh, let me check Facebook or watch Netflix, right? So I started and I created this and I use it in my coaching program by creating a task, an action to vision worksheet. So my overall vision was to create this specific business. I believe that goals take you, they're actually tasks that get you towards your vision. And I break them down. So I have 3 goals, and under each goal are 5 tasks. And literally they're all manageable. So something as similar as calling the people that I know and getting their opinion on things, beginning to blog and to write. I did some test workshops. So I broke all of these things down into very manageable tasks that you can check off and celebrate every single success. And each step gets you closer to that overall vision.
Right. Incredible. And then you follow through.
You have to follow through, right? Commitments are really something. My coach always says, and I love this, how we do anything is how we do everything. Absolutely. So down, you're going to let others down. So you have to believe it, and you have to follow through with those commitments. Some things that I like to do and I encourage my clients to do to help them push through onto those commitments is building a reward system. I'm going to do this thing and then I will go for a walk, or, however big or small you want it to be. I'll go get an iced coffee. I'll go get a pedicure, whatever it is that motivates you based on the task. And so as a celebration for that little success, then you're more energized to keep moving with the next one.
Heather, I'm so glad that you brought that up. I went to Millionaire Mind Intensive a few years ago, and with T. Half Acre, you probably know him. Mm-hmm. And he teaches that you need to celebrate little success and reward yourself when you do something well. And I can honestly say, Heather, that ever since I've done that, my growth rate has increased. For example, one of the things I do regularly is once a month, I take a mini break. I don't do anything. And when I come back, I'm energized. And when I'm working on something, I know that at the end of me completing this, there's a mini break coming up. Truly, truly amazing. And for those who are listening, I invite you to do this. Yeah, again, success leaves clue, and you can tell here that Heather is having some success. One of the reasons is because of the reward system, that inbuilt system that she's put in place. Very, very, very important there. Now, Heather, having done all these things to do, what did you do next? Because you now have got the structure, you've got things that you want to do, you've got the reward system in place. Now it's time for you to launch that business.
It was, I just did it because done is better than perfect, and started is halfway done. So I just started. Two things I did consecutively. One is I planned a workshop. And it was at that time, I did not charge for it, but I cherry picked the people that I wanted in attendance. They were very high profile executives here in Chicago. And I called them and I said, I am doing this new thing. I'd like you to spend the day with me with 6 other creative thought leaders. And I want to test this program out on you. And they loved it. And it was an incredibly empowering day. I built then my paid workshop structure off of that. Got great testimonials from them and referral leads from them. And I also reached out to some people that I know that were ready to do some transforming, and I made clients out of them. My coach said, "So when do you want to have a client?" And I said, I don't know, 3 months. And he said, "I think you can have a client tomorrow." I'm like, I can have a client tomorrow? And he said, "Yeah, just go ask somebody." And I said, "Oh, okay."
That's good.
Yeah. And those first 2 clients, they were totally guinea pig clients. I said, "I'm going to help you and you help me. We're going to learn together." Right. And we did, and we grew, and those clients turned into paid clients because the value was there. So, I just went in and I got my hands really dirty, is just on the other side of uncomfortable. And I got super uncomfortable and put myself out there, and the rewards have been plentiful.
Beautiful. Again, you demonstrate the qualities of all true successful people. They just go ahead and do it. And, after you do that, you get feedback, you reshape or refocus or re-aim to what you're doing. Truly amazing. And thanks for sharing that. Now, after you've done that, you end up getting referrals, and, you grow. What would you say were sort of potential blocks to stopping you from moving forward?
Oh, yeah. This is excellent. I spend a lot of time in my workshops and with my clients on what I like to call a limiting voice.
Okay.
And those are, in my opinion, really the only blocks. The rest of it is, quite frankly, bullshit. Like, it's a story you tell yourself to stop you from moving forward. So the voices in my head were, of course, nobody's going to pay me to do this.
I'm very familiar with that one.
Yeah, right. I don't know how to do this. I do a system with my clients called Rackets. And you may or may not be familiar with this from the 3 Laws of Performance. Is a book you've read?
No, not that one.
Oh, it's a great one. I highly encourage you to pick that one up. The 3 Laws is great. But essentially, it's a great one. But essentially a racket. So like the old school here in the States, during Prohibition time, they would have this fake storefront, and then they would serve liquor behind. So it was a racket. And that's the same thing with the voices that you tell yourself. When I would say, my big one always, and I come back to it, I don't work hard enough to be successful. I know, right? And so then you kind of break it down with yourself. Like, how do you feel when you think this thought, right? And I feel really terrible, and I feel lazy, and I feel unimportant and undervalued. And then you sort of go through this whole system. Well, but what's the payoff? Because there's always a payoff. If you're thinking something in your head, there's a reason for it. And for me, the payoff was it gave me the opportunity to not push harder. If I think, well, I don't work hard enough anyway, so I might as well just check Facebook, I got to be right about that. And then the next step is, but what does it cost you? And of course, it costs you success and confidence and money and all of these things. And then I would break down, was it true? Was it true? And how could I prove that it wasn't true? And I can prove it by the fact that people do pay me. And they do come to me for advice and to be interviewed on their podcasts and do all of these things. I have real substantial evidence that I work hard enough and it pays off, and I need to give myself grace and know that with the right boundaries in place, which is what I've been talking about a lot lately on different interviews, I don't have to feel guilty for the times I don't work. I can shut my computer down and be present with my family because it makes me better at everything when I have solid boundaries.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are adding ton of value to our audience today, and really want to thank you for that. You touch on quite often now on the importance of a coach. That you've been working with a coach all this time. How important is it for a business owner who is within their first 3 years of operation to have an investment in a coach?
Yeah, I think that it's invaluable. And I don't just think that because I do it. I think that because that's been my reality. It's someone to hold some accountability for. Certainly that's not our entire role. But to keep you on point with that, we present things in a way that you may not have thought of them before. I personally help you build systems and structures and come up with the right boundaries for you. I always like to say that when you put boundaries in place, you confirm your place of power in any situation. So they really instill confidence, and you regain and retain control over your schedule, over your interactions with others, over your personal life. And they really make for smoother relationships with others and with yourself. So it's a huge, you can really work with boundaries.
Incredible. And, having an accountability partner truly, will take you there. One of the reasons that I've discovered personally is if no one asks me why I didn't do something, it will go unnoticed. And when it is now needed, that's when I'm thinking, I should have done it.
It's true. After my own coaching sessions, and I encourage my clients to do the same thing, I print out the commitments I've made, because that's how I end up at every single coaching session is these are the commitments you've made during this call and the due dates. And I'm very intentional. So if you're going to, let's say, start a new blog, when are you going to start a new blog? What date? What time? What's the content? So that you know exactly what you're doing, and you don't have to spend any time going, well, but I don't know how to do it or what to do it or when to do it. You have something concrete to work with. And you certainly don't want to go back to that next coaching session and not have completed your commitments because you feel guilty. And that's, of course, undermining the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. While we are talking about this coaching, I'm thinking that there may be somebody who is looking to get a business coach or a coach for something else. In your opinion, or maybe you've done this, what criteria do you use to find the coach that agrees with you or that you can work with? Yeah,
that's a really good question because, of course, it needs to be a good personality match and you need to connect well. Yes. I would do some research if you can. Now, I have to be totally honest. When I found my coach, and I'd been looking for a coach for a long time, and nothing seemed like the right fit, I happened to see him speak at an event, and the connection was there. I knew it. I looked at my partner who was sitting next to me and I said, that's my guy right there. And she said, how do you know that? I said, I just know. And I went right up to him and I said, I want to work with you. And he's like, okay, slow down. So the same thing. You've heard me here. Maybe you like me. Slow down. Let's set up a session. Shoot me an email. We will set up a complimentary coaching session and get to know one another. And whether or not we move on to the next step, we can make some powerful change and growth in that short time frame if the value is there for you. But get to know somebody. I certainly have a pretty solid social media presence, but not every coach does, and that's okay. That doesn't mean they're not valuable. You never know who you're going to meet and connect with that's going to really change your path.
Incredible. What I'm hearing, there is the connection. Really follow your instincts when you meet people. Do your due diligence researching them. But when you get to meet them, follow your instincts, and who knows, something good would work out from that. Heather, let's talk about the skills that business owners need to develop when it comes to running a successful business. You've been doing this for the last 4 years and certainly growing, and you're being featured on many podcasts talking about this. One or two things about running a successful coaching program.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that several things need to be in place. One is and I keep using the word boundaries, but they cover so many important elements, but figure out your plan and your end goal. You need to know what your motivation is. Get your why really solidly figured out. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So you need to know why you do it. And then figure out how you want it to work for you. So what do you want your hours to be? I'm very lucky that I have my own business. I take my kids to school every day and I pick them up every day. And that gives me a 5-hour workday. And I have to be very intentional with my 5 hours. So scheduling my time appropriately, knowing when to delegate and who to delegate it to, who to trust, and releasing things that aren't going to serve you. So if you have this huge list of things you want to be doing and it's overwhelming, go through that list and really ask yourself, would doing this task serve me towards my overall vision? And if it doesn't really serve you, release it. Let it go. It's okay. Maybe it'll come back around. Maybe it won't. But focus on those things that will help you propel forward and really be purposeful for you.
Incredible. Why is this so important, that they do that sort of thing?
Because if you don't know what your intentions are, you're going to be all over the place and everyone's going to be able to tell. So it doesn't matter what kind of business you're starting. If you don't have that confidence in yourself and you know exactly what you're working for and why and how you're going to do it, people are going to see through that. Believe that you can produce for them what it is you're telling them you can produce. In fact, I just put a quote out on Instagram this morning about valuing yourself. And no one's going to value you if you don't value yourself. This was in particular to getting paid what you think you're worth. But if you don't have the confidence and the knowledge that you're valued at what you think you should be paid hourly, no one's going to pay you that amount. So you have to believe in yourself.
Absolutely. And I think it's critical, especially when you're getting started, because what you set out to do and you portray that image, people will follow that and say, okay, this is how you work with them, because you're constantly teaching people how to respond, how to react, and how to work with you, which I find amazing. Maybe there's someone here, Heather, who actually doesn't know where to start from doing that. Is there any maybe a step-by-step formula, or is there one thing that you can encourage them to do right now, today, that can help them to get to that place? Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds really basic. They're difficult to do, but I really would start with a business plan. That it's overwhelming maybe at first, and you're not going to know all of the answers. But if you plan and know all of the different parts that go into making it successful, it gives you a moment of peace and relaxation. And then blueprint, you can parcel out how you're going to tackle each aspect of it. And you can use that vision to action worksheet that I mentioned very difficultly earlier in this podcast, at our time getting that term out. But the vision to action worksheet, that concept, helps you take something huge and break it down into really manageable tasks. And you just have to start there. You have to build that overall piece and then take it and make it smaller and manageable and just start doing them.
Absolutely incredible. And let's talk about the second critical skill that business owner needs to develop if they haven't got it or need to work on in order to run a successful business.
Critical skills really need to include, and we touched on this, following through with your commitment to yourself before anybody else. And then you need to go in and put your systems in place so that you're not working yourself to the bone. Systems are huge, and they can range from anything from, building out your schedule or what I like to call eating the frog. Is that a Mark Twain term? Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
The frog, doing the thing that you most dread doing first thing in the day. And I mean, you think about that, right? If you have something looming over your head and it's terrifying you and you put it off and you put it off constantly, then everything you do feels a little bit heavy and maybe doesn't get done to its best potential. If you eat that frog first thing in the morning, everything is a win all day long. And you just feel like a superstar and you're more productive. And so if you can put systems like that into place, check off those tasks and get your goals going and your vision going and keep propelling forward.
Absolutely. Not only that, Heather, I've discovered that when I have systems in my own life, I can literally transfer those systems to my team. Because one of the things I discovered that is, when business owners start any project, the intention is to develop that project. And if you don't have systems yourself as a business owner, it becomes difficult for you to transfer that sort of thing that you're working on to new members on your team. So I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. Systems they're key, 100%.
Yes. And is there anything else, from the top of your head that you think is worth mentioning here for business owners that they need to master if they're going to run a successful business, particularly like a coaching business?
Yeah, mastering is, first of all, you have to just know that you're doing the very best job that you can and truly believe that. I always say you have to teach the thing you need to master. But the key, really, I think the best takeaway is that the vision never changes, but the path changes all the time. And give yourself some grace. You're going to implement things and you're going to try them, and they may or may not work, and that's okay. Try something else and try something else and try something else. I mean, we've all heard this a million times. If you're not failing, you're not trying new things. And let it go and give yourself lots of grace as you move forward, because we're constantly transforming and growing, and every step gets you closer and closer to your vision. And just be grateful for the things that work and the things that don't.
Absolutely. Heather, you've got that special gift, and I hope our audience are noticing that as well. You have this ability of taking what seemingly difficult question and to break it down. Like, for example, you say, vision never changes, but path changes all the time. That is so true. Looking back at how I've built my own two companies, we still believe in the same thing, but the way we do things today is different from the way we used to do, 6 years ago. That is, so on point.
Yeah, well, and they have to be different, right? The world changes, your client changes, technology changes. So what works now very likely won't work in 6 months. I mean, even something as simple as your morning routine, changing that up every 6 months or so, you sort of shakes you out of a stale situation. So you got to embrace change and grow and try new things all the time.
Incredible. I know for a fact, Heather, that there may be people who are resonating with what you're saying. They want to get to know more about you and or actually work with you. How can they do that? And what are your ideal clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing to do is pop over to my website, which is vickeryandco.com, and connect with me. So you can certainly get on my newsletter list, which is just now developing. But you reach out, just send me an email and let's connect. We can set up a coaching session. I'm actually going to gift 3 2-hour coaching sessions to the first 3 listeners who contact me. So just mention this podcast and I will set aside some special custom time for you. But for everyone else, reach out, let's have a chat, get to know each other, check out my work. I have some great videos up. And if you're interested more in these boundaries that I've been talking about, I have a great free download on my website called the Boundary Blueprint. And so there's a little teaching and some workshop kind of stuff for you to go through and get yourself set on boundaries. And then if you'd like, we can connect and I can do a boundary coaching session specifically related to this and talk you through those things and see where we go from there.
Beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. Heather, if you were knowing what you know today, if you were to go back and start all over again, launching your business, what would you do differently, be it more of or less of?
That's a great question. I would give myself more flexibility to try new things. I felt at the time, I felt very committed to doing things the way I thought was quote unquote right. And I wasn't flexible with trying new things and sort of being adventurous and putting myself out there. And so I think I would just sort of throw caution to the wind a little more with that. And again, I'm repeating this, but really give myself grace and be patient as I go through the process and know that the learning, the journey is the destination. So the learning is just as important as the finished product.
Absolutely. Well, Heather, we've had such an amazing time having you here and talk to us about, important aspects of running businesses. And we would like to thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. And I hope that there are other opportunities for us to connect.
Absolutely. And actually, before you go, I know one of the things that you absolutely love is to, give something, to the community, or, having a social responsibility. Can you talk to us about that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, giving back to the community is really, really important to me. I'm raising 4 little girls that are conscious of how they impact the world. And I
Yes.
do believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. We need to reach out and help one another. So, I'm the school board president. I am on an LGBTQ theater board, but any opportunity I can get. So I want to go out. We walk, we raise money, and I am working on a little bit of a passion project on the side on ways to help younger kids develop some entrepreneur skills so that they can bring that back into the world. But any opportunity you get to give of yourself, you're going to bring that abundance back over and over and over again.
Absolutely. I usually say to our audience, imagine if we all play our part, the politicians do their thing, the faith community do their thing, we, the business community, do our thing. What kind of a world will create for our future?
We have a lot of power. We have a lot of power as humans.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we appreciate you doing something over there, in the US. Really, really appreciate all the work that you're doing, and we want to wish you all the success in your projects.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love the work that you're doing as well. It's really powerful.
Incredible. And if you want to connect with Heather, go to this website, www.vickeryandco.com, and you'll be able to connect with Heather there. Alternatively, you can find Heather on social media. Are you on social media, Heather? I forgot to ask that.
I am on social media. Absolutely. So yes. Facebook is Vickery and Co. My Instagram is Vickery and Co. My Twitter is Vickery and Co. Super easy to find me everywhere.
Incredible. And once again, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to serving you again on the next episode. In the meantime, if ever you are looking for a virtual assistant, head over to www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com for more information, and I look forward to spending some time with you next time. Thanks so much, Heather.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.